Okay. Good afternoon, all. Kaushal, can you confirm that you see the recording is on and you see the slides on the screen?
Yes, ma'am. Both are fine.
Okay. Sure. Thank you. Okay. So, good afternoon, everybody. And this is the 9th lecture of our course. And just to recap where we are, in the first 2 weeks, we have done basic stuff of C programming, and we have looked at selection statements, that is if and if else. And yesterday we saw in the class another useful tool which is used for multiple selection. In fact, we already said that whatever you can do using this switch statement can also be done using if and else when you have this if else statements. However, when you have constant inputs, I mean, you have various inputs that you have in typical menu-based programs, you may use this switch, and this is something that is helpful for you. So we saw the switch command in switch statement in detail, the syntax, the semantics, and variations of that, as well as small parts of it, which are the break statement, its use, misuse, and so on. So these are the things that we have seen yesterday. One important thing is that the switch statement is useful when you are testing equality with integral constants. So this is also something that we have emphasized in the last class. And what we did in the last class was, the first task was that printing simple messages, which was a task from the previous week, which we had done using if and if else. And then we used the switch statement to perform the same task or write a program for the same task. And we wrote in the second part of the class what is this one-time mini calculator. So why do I call it one time? One time because it takes one operator, two operands. We assume that we made several assumptions that there is only one, the operator will take only two operands and so on. And we wrote this one-time mini calculator. So this is what we did. So whenever, I just want to emphasize this, that whenever we are doing something, there are typically the class material or the lecture has two parts. One is the task that we are interested in doing. And then for that task, we are introducing some language constructs, and we are exploiting the language constructs in particular ways. So both the parts of the class, both the parts of this discussion are very useful. The tasks may seem a little simple to begin with, but the reason they are simple is we don't want to get into very complicated tasks at the moment, which we cannot handle in a single class. So that is the reason. And as we go ahead, we'll possibly be able to take slightly bigger tasks. Any questions, comments about the last class or anything that is unclear? Okay, so what we will do in today's class is so I just want to flash this one-time mini calculator, which we did in the last class. And this was our one-time mini calculator. What we want to do in today's class is get rid of this one time. That is, we want this calculator to be available to us. Of course, the calculator is very modest. It is just taking a few operators and doing those, performing those operators. Computing the result of these operator on two operands. We are having a very, very simple calculator, but nevertheless, it allows us to illustrate several things. So it prompts for the operator, it prompts for the two operands, outputs the result. But unlike the mini calculator in the last class, it will also repeat this, right? So this is where we are going to introduce our first C construct, which is a looping construct. We have already seen this repeat construct, which we used in the simple CPP, but we don't have that in C. So we are going to take one of the looping constructs and again see the behavior of that exploit that in several ways and see some details about that construct itself, right? So again, I know that all of you are aware of the for loop, the while loop, and so on. So it's not new, but we are going to look at this particular task and look at the while loop in this context. Okay, so at least when this task is given to us, the natural way you will think about it is you want to do repeat some things. The things that you want to repeat are take an operator, take the operands, compute the result and print it to the screen until the quit command is given. So quit, again, how is it given? All these things are details, but we will specify that. So let's say the user types for the operand a Q, then we will assume that it is a quit. So that is what we want to do. But as we know that repeat is not something that is available for the C language. The available loop constructs are while, for, and do while. So these are the three different loop constructs. We are going to look at the loop construct which is while in today's class. So this is our goal. Okay. Okay, so some of you are suggesting some loop constructs, which is good, but we will stick to one specific loop construct that we are interested in, and we will work with that for making sure that all of us understand that loop construct. Okay, so as I said, we are going to look at the while construct, which has the following syntax: that there is a while expression, and this is typically a test expression. Then there are certain statements that you want to continue that you can write down, and the semantics or the meaning of this construct is, as long as the expression is true, execute the statements. If it is a single statement, you can actually omit the braces, but again, for readability, it is good to have those braces. If the expression is false, you just don't even go into the loop and don't do any of these statements. If it happens to be false for the first time, you just never execute the set of statements. And the important point about this while loop is that the value of the expression that is tested in this expression here, that is written here, must be modified in the body of this loop. This part, the statements are called the body of the loop. It must be modified in the body of the loop. Otherwise, we will have what is known as the infinite loop, and the program doesn't terminate, right? So this is something that, again, people who have experience in loops, so they are aware of what are infinite loops that do not terminate. But this is something that you need to be careful about when writing programs. And the expression that is here can, again, be a variable, can contain relational or logical operators or the equality operators, the way we know. And these are things that we have been using in if and so on. So we are familiar with these operators by now. And we also know the meaning of these operators. So again, the flow diagram of the while construct is given on the right hand side. So if the test expression evaluates to false, then you simply go to the statements below the while loop. If there are none, then you terminate the program. If it is true, then you execute the body of the while loop and again test the expression. If the test expression evaluates to true, again go inside the while loop, and so on. So this allows us this power of repetition, which you have already done. You have experienced using the turtle. Many of you have nicely constructed beautiful patterns using that. And that was because you had repeat. You could not have written down these big programs without the looping construct. That is why I say that, or it is well known that loops are the heart of programming. And once you know these loops well, you can do several nice things using any programming language. Okay, any questions or comments here?
Ma'am, can you hear me? Ma'am,
Yes,
if the value of the expression is not changed, we can also have zero loop. Loop that is not even getting executed in the first try.
The value of the expression is not?
If the value of the expression is false, like always false, then we can have
Yes.
zero loop also, right?
Actually, always false. It can always be false. That is also correct. But so the way this flow diagram tells, right? If the expression happens to be false anytime, you go out of the loop. So if it happens for the first time, then you never enter the loop. That is what you are trying to say.
No, ma'am. Like you said, like value of the expression should be changed inside the body of the loop. Otherwise, we'll have an infinite loop. It can also be zero loop, right? Like without even like starting itself with false and going.
Okay, yeah, agreed. But then such a loop will never execute, right? I mean, you are saying that if this expression always evaluates to 0, is that what you
Yeah,
are saying?
yeah. Like it will execute, right? But
Yeah.
it won't show any error. But they don't
Oh,
loop.
yes. Yeah. Okay. So that is not the typical case that happens. That is why I said that. But you're right that if you have an expression that evaluates to 0, you never enter the loop. But then you are not changing, but it is not an infinite. I agree with you. Yes. Okay. So I think everybody knows the while loop. So there is nothing much that I can say here on the abstract part. Is there any comment or question? Okay. Okay, so here is my first attempt to write the mini calculator using the while loop. I want all of you to stare at this program and type out in the chat, what do you think the program is? I mean, is the program having the desired behavior? What is the behavior of the program and so on? So please read the program carefully. Again, all the operands are not operators are not there. That is not something that is of interest. You can always add star and do what star is required. That is not the interest. Yeah. Okay, so please stare at this program, read it, and tell me whether it does what is expected to be done. So instead of telling, please do not unmute. Write down the comments. Yeah. Okay, so somebody has written down a different for loop program, Naresh, right? So yeah, Naresh, we'll come to for loops in a while, not today, but we'll come back to it. So today we are just going to look at yeah. It's just a choice. I mean, it's just one by one that we are going over loops. Okay, so there are 2 or 3 comments that I have received, but other than that, so Aditya, right? I don't understand the comment. Prints elementary operations like addition, remainder, division. I mean, it does these, right? Not prints. It actually computes these and gives it out, right? Okay, that is correct. But that is the part of the switch that we have already seen. Okay. Okay, good. So I see the okay, great. So I think all of you or many of you have observed this. So I just want to bring out the same thing that I mentioned in the abstract this thing, that we are not having the op value which is tested here. The test expression is op not equal to q, which is okay. I mean, as long as the user has not printed typed in q, you want the program to continue. But you have taken this once here in this line, which is input the operand, which is in this with the %c, but and then of course the two values x and y, but you never change this, right? So what will be the output of this program? Whatever you give in the first time, if at the first time you give in q, then it will never not enter, right? But it will still prompt you for the first integer and the second integer. But if you give something which is not q, that is, let's say plus or mod or the div, because these are the only ones that are supported, then it will go into the loop. It will in fact calculate what is desired, but then there is no statement which is again scanning the inputs. So therefore we are not going to change, or we are not changing the value of this variable op. it remains to be what was plus. So it again tests this operation and it prints out this same thing. Let's say you gave plus 2 and 3, then 2x plus y is equal to 5 will get printed infinitely. It will keep on getting printed. You can try this out, and towards the end again we can try this out in the class. But this is the behavior of the program. I think many of you have already seen, but is there anything that is unclear to somebody? Okay, so everybody agrees that this is not the correct program. It is it does not have the desired behavior. In fact, in my slides, I have these things that I have written, but because the program is big, it is not showing up here. So just excuse me. Yes.
Why do we
Yes.
have case Q? Why do we have case Q, ma'am, in the while loop? I mean, in the switch.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So in the switch, why do we have case Q? This is something that is copy paste from the previous this thing, and I wanted some of you to point it out that in fact when op is equal to Q, it is never going to even go into this switch. I mean, it is never even going to execute this switch. So therefore, this case Q will never be hit. Right. So it is sitting there because we possibly would have written it when we wrote the one-time calculator, where Q would mean just quit out of that program, right? That's all. So you're right that this Q is not required here anymore. So this is something that is a good observation. Yeah. And again, others have also observed it. They have pointed it out in the chat. Okay. So here is the second attempt of the program. What have I done? The changes that I have done are the following. I'm still taking the operand. So actually, I should write here operator, not operand. Operator here. That is, this is the operator that we are taking in. So I'm taking the operator outside. Then I'm checking whether the operator is not equal to Q. If it is not equal to Q, then I go inside the loop and I do a bunch of things. So please read this program and tell me whether this is indeed a correct program. Are there any mistakes? Again, you can omit this case Q, which is there because of the copy paste. Okay. Okay, so please read the program carefully. Some of you have responded in the chat, but please read the program carefully and then check out whether what are the errors, what is incorrect, does it have the desired behavior, and so on. Okay. Okay, so I'm seeing what the chat messages are. So let's read this program. So let me just, okay, so I don't understand when people say no and so on. So, okay. Okay, so let me, people can unmute and give their this thing. So is there somebody who feels that the program is incorrect? Can you point out why is this something that is incorrect? Okay, so at least in the chat, yes. Okay.
Ma'am, since like whatever operator we give input, that
So
won't change.
Shwetika, right? Can I just interrupt you? Can you please tell your answer first? What is your what is your understanding of the program? Is it correct or is it incorrect?
Ma'am, it is not incorrect, but it won't do the desired like what we want. It won't do, ma'am. There's no error.
Okay,
but
so what is the play? Okay, so you are saying it is correct, but it will not do whatever it is desired to, whatever we desire. Okay.
So like for example, if we give the operator as plus,
Plus.
Yeah, the while loop is satisfied, so the statements will get executed. But then we can't change the operator whenever we want, ma'am. This will kind of be an infinite loop only.
Okay, so have you reached this end of the switch and seen these statements here? So this last part is, sorry, it has been cut out, but I hope you understand that this is just scanf, %c and operate, or this is the cause of problem for others. So this statement is just scanf, %c and op, the same statement that is here, right? Of course, I should have written operator, but the same statement that is here is written here. Is that clear, Shwetika?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you still say that the operator is not changed?
Ma'am, I thought like it won't come out of the loop because it is always correct. Like the while loop is always satisfied unless it is Q.
Okay, so let's understand. So, okay, so anybody else has, okay, so there are some comments which are saying this unnecessary Q. I already accepted that case Q is there, that is unnecessary. Let's not worry about that. Ignore that case Q. That is not the point of the whole thing. What I want you to observe is, okay, so let's read the program and see how it executes. So printf input the operator, please read this as operator. It is scanf and store whatever is the character that you input in this OP. If it happens to be something which is not Q, then it goes inside and asks you to input the first integer and the second integer, which you will store in X and Y respectively. And of course, then you will do the switch on the OP, which is the operator. If it happens to be one of these, it will, one of these three, it is okay. If it happens to be not other than that, it will say invalid operator. But then you are going to go, this is only the switch statement. Then you are doing this get char. I will come to this get char in a minute, but just forget this get char. And then you are saying that printf input operator again and scanf %c. So this is where the operator is going to change again, right? So this is the place where operator is changing to different value that it is, you are going to prompt it, and therefore it is going to go to this while loop, and whether it is Q or something else, you are going to be able to test it again. So we are indeed changing the operator here. So is that clear to Shwetika and others who are saying that this will still go into an infinite loop?
Ma'am, sorry, ma'am, I didn't see. I thought this condition was like outside the loop. I thought the
No,
before
but okay, so the indentation is also clear, right? So this whole thing is inside the loop, right? The indentation also clearly says that I am not relying on the indentation, but there is also these braces which are clearly saying this is for the while loop, whatever are the statements inside the while loop. Is it fine?
Understood, ma'am.
Okay, so yeah, so there are things about division by zero, mod operator will not work at certain places. So again, those are not the parts that we are currently looking at. Yes, you can again, whether this is precision is 2 decimals and so on, that is not something that is the current interest. I want us to go through the looping part rather than the actual parts of the calculator, which are division by zero or precision and so on. So is that okay? Please ignore those parts at the moment. That is not something that I want you to point out. So is there any other part in the loop that is incorrect? Okay, so some people are okay. So so one question that I see is, why are we having this get char, right? So I don't know if people have missed the last class or missed the discussion in the last class. We have seen this in the last class itself, that so when you do this printf input first integer, and you are going to do this scanf %d and x, you are going to type an X and then say that type an enter to get the next thing. So to say that you are done with inputting the integer, and that enter is something which is a valid character that you are entering. However, the next input that you are taking happens to be a %d. Therefore, when the program is scanning for or waiting for some input, a character is ignored, which is the enter or the new line, and therefore your next input integer comes in properly. However, when you do it for the second input integer, which is this scanf for y, you are again going to press this enter. When you press this enter, we have seen this behavior in the last class itself. It has nothing to do with the switch or the loop or anything. You just give input, I mean scanf and x, scanf and y, and then input the character and scanf and op. You will see the behavior. So you will see that you don't even get to input the operator, because you will see that the enter itself is taken as a valid character, and that sits in the OP. So to consume that, we are using this getChar. Again, don't pay too much attention, but unless you have this getChar, you will not be even able to change your operator. So that is the reason we are putting in. This is the same thing that we did yesterday. And that is why I did it without the loops yesterday in the last class, because we have to do it when we have the first is an integer, the second is also an integer, and the third is a character. But if you write the first as a character, then this problem doesn't occur. So this is the explanation for why we have this getChar here. Any other questions?
Ma'am,
Yes.
in the beginning, for the first print statement, with the if we enter any RAM, still
It will go into the while. If we enter a random character, meaning let's say a bracket or a colon, right? That's what you're saying.
yes. So then we go on some more integers.
Yes. Okay. So this is what you think is an incorrect behavior, is it? That it is not a correct operator. It will still be prompting you for the integers, the two inputs, but still doing that. Yes. So this is an incorrect. I mean, this is an undesirable behavior. We did not say that this is what it should do. I mean, this is what your program should test. But yeah, I agree that it is undesirable. Yeah, it's a correct observation. But at the moment we are living with that. You see that, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions about this program? Okay. Yeah. So I really am sorry that this scanf should have been clearly written. I should have used a new line, but I wanted both these brackets to come in properly. Maybe I could have compromised on this space. Okay, I'll do that when I upload the slides. Okay. So yes.
Ma'am, can we put the printf statement, first printf statement of operator inside the loop and put the OP as a default value of anything that is not equal to Q?
So
we
sorry.
have to write,
So Sonish, right? So Sonish, just hold on.
Yes,
I am unable to hear you clearly. Speak a little slowly and loudly.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, can we put the we are scanning the OP 2 times. So can we do this one time only? Instead of the
Yes, we will.
printing instead of the scanning OP outside the loop, can we scan only inside the loop and take OP as a default value outside the loop that is not equal to Q?
Yes. So we will come to it, Sonish. It's a good observation again that we are scanning we are having two statements which are repeated here. That is, I mean, the one statement which is repeated here, which is one which is outside the loop, one which is inside the loop. Can we get rid of that? And can we do it by initializing? I think your Sonish's suggestion is that have it only inside the loop and initialize OP to something which is not Q to begin with, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. One thing is that, again, it's not an interesting use case, but the user may want to quit for the first time, right? In which case you will still have issues. But again, this is something that we are living with, but your suggestion is correct that if we want to get it here, then we should just get the input here and then make sure that we are initializing OP to something correctly. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but we are coming to it, Sonish, in a while. I want to illustrate one more thing about this, and then we'll come to it. Okay, so let's say that we want to change or okay, can we use this while loop as while it is equal to plus or it is equal to minus? So yeah, so you will want, okay, so one of the questions, I think Naresh, right? Everybody is able to see it, but he's asking, can we write it as while the operator OP is equal to plus, or it is equal to minus, or it is equal to, right? Yes, but it will be a long this thing, right, Naresh?
Yes, ma'am. 4
Yes.
operands.
Yeah. Yes.
I tried it,
Whatever
it
you
works.
want. Huh?
I tried it, ma'am, it works.
Yes, it will work. Yes. Yeah, but it is natural to write. I mean, if you have many things, it is natural to terminate it using something and write that condition. Write
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
the appropriate condition in the loop than writing a big condition there, right? Yeah. So that will work. Okay. So now what I want you to do is this program will have the following behavior, that it will ask you for an operator. If it happens to be Q, then it just doesn't go into the program. It just doesn't go into the loop. If it is not Q, it will go into it and of course ask you for the integers, even if it is some arbitrary thing and so on. But yeah, so now what I want is, currently it is quitting on little q. I want it to be case insensitive, right? So it's okay if I give capital Q or small q. What I want you to do is, let's stay with the behavior which already people have pointed out, which are slightly undesirable, but we would like to support that it quits when the user enters either little q or small q. I want you to only change this part of the expression, the test expression, and write down what test expression you are going to write. Please think about it, write it down in your notebooks, and we will you can also type it out in the chat and we'll discuss it.
Ma'am?
Yes.
I mean, Sonish's method, you said like if the user enters Q, there will be a problem or something. What problem will be there?
Sonish's method, user enters Q.
You said like if the first time if he enters Q, you'll have a problem. What problem will it be?
Okay, so what was the method? Was it
Putting printf inside and initializing OP with some value that is not Q?
Okay, so what I am trying to say is, the current behavior of the program is that if you print the first Q here, the first time you print in a Q, it never asks you for the first two integers. Is that correct?
Ma'am, like if it is inside, then it won't have a problem. Like it has already gone inside the loop, and then if the person inputs Q, there won't be a problem, right?
No, but at least the way I saw it is, it will be just moving this printf statement here, right? Printf input the operator, I should say, scanf %c. So it will be while op is not equal to Q, and op will be initialized to something appropriate, right? So it won't be Q, and therefore it will take the input operator, and then even if it is Q, it will ask you for integer X and integer Y.
Yes, ma'am, but
Isn't that?
Oh, okay, that's okay.
Yeah. So again, we can live with that. I mean, in the first time also it may happen. I mean, there are other bugs also. We can live with that. We should understand the behavior of the program.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So
me,
there
ma'am.
are.
Hello,
Yes.
Ma'am,
Yes.
can you please repeat what you asked us to do, ma'am? Because I had a network issue, so I wasn't able to listen to what you said, ma'am.
Sorry, Kannikeshwar. Can you? What is the question? Hello. Okay. So
Ma'am, I guess he's saying like when will you upload the session? Actually, he's having some network issue, so he was not able to see the lecture.
Yeah. Okay. So I will upload every day. I am uploading the session. Yeah. Okay. So
Excuse
So
me.
all of you are writing the in the test expression. I mean, I hope all of you are trying to write down the test expression, which is good. I see some answers, but very few. I mean, just 3 or 4 answers right now.
Excuse
I
me, ma'am.
request others to participate and write down what is the change in the.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, a small clarification, ma'am. When the break in switch is encountered, it will only come out of the switch loop only, no, ma'am, not the enclosing while loop.
Yeah, good question. Yes, so when the break is encountered, it will come out of the current context, which is the switch, which is the nearest context to it. So it won't come out of the while loop. I'll come to the while loop and the break in a minute. I should not say while, but in a minute. And but you are right that it will just come out of this current context, which is the switch statement. Yeah, thank you for bringing it out. Yeah.
Yes.
And we'll revisit this when we introduce while loop and break. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I see some answers again, much fewer than the number of. Yes.
Ma'am, I was asking what we should do, ma'am, because I had a network issue, so I was not able to listen to what you said, ma'am. Like you asked
But
me.
that's okay. Kandikeshwar, if you are having a network issue, please view the lecture a little afterwards, right?
No, I didn't ask that, ma'am. Now it's fine actually. Like there was some issue at that moment, so I was not able to talk. So I was not able to listen to you properly, ma'am. So what did you ask us to do?
Okay, sorry. Okay, so the task that is given to you in the class is to change this test expression to for it to quit when it is either a little q or a small q. That is the if you have to change the
either
test
capital
expression.
or small, right?
Yes, and don't say out the this thing. Just don't say it out. Just write it in the chat if you can. Yeah, so that everybody can write it. Yeah. Okay, great. So people have written down some of the things. That is okay. So I have given enough time for this. So let's see this. So this is one of the answers, and that is again, this is a snippet of the program, and you should be willing to read these snippets, or you should be comfortable reading to these snippets when you are going to have this quiz in the next week. You will be given some snippets, and you may be, some stuff which is irrelevant to the question may be written like this. So please make yourself comfortable reading these snippets. We have always been doing this in the class. So okay, so this condition says while op is not equal to little q or op is not equal to capital Q, do all the same stuff that we were doing, and that is how I have changed the while loop, right? So this is one of the answers that is given to me. There is also another answer that is given to me, but I'll just I'll let everybody stare at this because only 10 people have possibly written the answer, right? Okay.
Am I audible?
Ma'am,
Yes.
shouldn't it be and operator?
Okay. So hold on. We'll come to it. So this answer has already been written at least 5 or 6 times in the chat, although I don't think you are able to see it because it is a privately written answer. But this is the answer that is written, and this is also a common mistake that can happen. So the reason this common mistake happens is, so let's go back to the while loop and ask what is the syntax and the semantics of the while loop. So we are saying there is a test expression. As long as it is true, we will go into the while loop. When it becomes false, we'll come out of the while loop, right? So let's carefully write down the condition when we want to quit the while loop and when we want to go inside the while loop. So I'm keeping this on the slide just for your reference, but so we want to stop when op is either q or it is little q or capital Q. We want to stop. When I say stop, we don't want to go into the while loop. So this means that if op is equal to q or op is equal to capital Q, then quit the loop. That is, don't go inside the loop. And what we want is, then what is the condition that we should have when we want to go inside the loop, right? So what we want is the negation of this condition. Again, I want to say that, okay, although I have not put in the braces are clear, I hope, because the equal to has higher precedence. So op is equal to little q is the first thing to be tested. Then op is equal to capital Q is the second thing. And then there is this or, right? So that is how the brackets are, although I have not written it. But this is what we want. This is the condition that we want to quit the loop. Therefore, we want to enter the loop when this condition, the above condition, is false. That is not of all of this, that is op is equal to q or op is equal to capital Q, which is the same by De Morgan's law as op not equal to little q and op not equal to capital Q, right? So this is again a very common thing that happens when we are writing loop conditions for the first time. And in hurry, we write down these conditions and we think that it is correct, and then we do not have the desired behavior. So let's understand what happens when you write this op is op is not equal to q or op is not equal to capital Q. What happens when we give this to the write this program like this? Let's say op is actually equal to little q, then what will be the value for this? It is little q.
Be false.
It is false. However, this is an or, so it must evaluate this condition also, because maybe the condition is true because of something else. So then op is not equal to capital Q, then it will turn out to be true, because of course the character cannot be the capital and the small. Therefore, this evaluates to true. The same symmetric thing happens when you put in capital Q. So it never quits, right? So this is something which turns out to be true always. So this is not what you wanted, and the reason why you thought about it is because we thought that when it is equal to q or it is equal to capital Q, quit it. So if you want to write it, please write it down on a piece of paper carefully, and then say you want not of it to be the condition when you want to enter the loop, which is the same as if you apply your De Morgan's law, then not of this, which is op not equal to little q, and op not equal to capital Q. So this is something that you have to be, you have to train yourself in writing the correct conditions. We will also do as we go along in the classes about writing these conditions correctly. So any questions or comments on this part? Okay, so I am not writing the whole program, but if you just change this same thing here, right? Op is not equal to little q, I mean this place, and op is not equal to capital Q. The program will terminate when you give one of little q or capital Q. So this is what you have as your desired behavior. And when we wanted to quit, I mean, be case insensitive about the quit. Okay, so this completes this part about the writing of the condition. So now I want to come to one of the things that is used sometimes during a while loop. In fact, a different construct, which is the do while construct, is possibly slightly more appropriate for this task that we are doing. But just because the while loop is the more regularly used one, I thought we'll first introduce or go over the while loop. So one of the ways you can run this program is do the following, that is while one. So what is while one? So this one is something that is going to evaluate always to true, because it never can evaluate to a zero. It is the constant one, so it evaluates to true. So then I'm saying while one, then input the sorry for this mistake, input the operator, which is scan, and then take it in OP. Now again, this program has the undesired behavior that you will, even if the first time you give a q, it is going to ask you for the two integers x and y. But for the moment, let's say there is at least one operation that you want to do. Therefore, you are going to input something which is non-Q. We'll come to correcting this part. But let's say we stay with this. Then you do whatever you were doing earlier, and then again change. So the change that we were going to do is, because you are taking the operator here, you are not going to write the statement that is scanf at the end of the loop, because that is something, when you go inside the loop, you are always going to ask for the operator. So this statement you should observe that I have commented it out, and that is something that you should not be executing again. So I hope that is clear. Otherwise, you are taking the operator twice. So this is the modified program. But one of the questions is, the operator does change in this, but does this program ever terminate? Will this program terminate? No. So this program will keep on running. How do you even come out of this program?
Then we can use break statement in if.
Okay. Yes. So we have to use, if you want it to gracefully terminate, what do I mean by gracefully? You don't want to switch off your computer to turn off the program or do a Control-C, which is terminating it externally. You want this program to terminate when the user gives a cue. Then you should have something which allows you to break, right? So let's use this break and also understand the meaning of the break, which one of you had asked earlier. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take the input operator, which is what we have been taking. Now, if this operator is equal to Q, or it is equal to capital Q, the way we wanted. Remember, now this is not the not of this condition, because we are in the if part. If it happens to be one of these, then you don't want any of these things below to happen, because you simply want the loop to quit, right? So you say this, you use this statement, which is the break statement, which we have also seen yesterday. The break statement is applicable in either the switch construct or it is applicable in the loop constructs. Currently, we are using it in the context of the loop. And what it does is it takes you out of the context of this statement, and the context of this statement is the while loop, and it is taking you out of the context of this while loop. What does it mean? It will directly go and get you here, which is the end of this while loop, and whatever is the statement written here, of course there is no C statement here, but if there is any statement here, that is going to be executed if you type in a Q, little q or a capital Q. So this is how the program will execute. And of course, if you have not typed in a little q or a small q, it will again prompt you for the integers, do something. And now I want you to observe that now we have two kinds of break statements. One is the breaks for the switches, like what the switch statement, which is this. And this switch statement, the break of the switch statement is taking you only out of the current context, which is the switch statement. So as soon as you are done with this printf x plus y is equal to actually x plus y, then it is going to break and take you out of the switch statement to here, and then it is going to do this get char and then go into the while loop, because nothing has changed. I mean, it is it will go into the while loop, do the test expression. Test expression always evaluates to 1 because it is while 1, and then it will again prompt you for the operator. And this is the way the program is going. This program is going to get executed. So this break is something that we have seen yesterday. We are using it again in the context of a loop. If you use it in the context of a loop, it will take you out of the current context and take you out of the current while or switch that you are in. And why am I emphasizing this? Because this is important when you write nested while loops or nested loops. There is a while and inside that there is a while. If you write a break, it is only going to take you out of the current context, which is this while. There may be another while. It doesn't mean that you are going to come out of all the while loops. It is just taking you out of the current context. Yeah. So this is the behavior of this program, and the way you can make this program gracefully terminate. This is what it is. So any questions, comments on this part? Okay, so this the question that one of you has asked is okay. So instead of break, can we use exit in the if condition? So okay, what does exit do? It is pramat, right? What does exit do?
It just terminates the program.
Okay, so see, as long as if there is nothing else that you are doing, it will have the same behavior. But there may be something you are saying that saying that the calculator program has stopped now or something like that, which is something that it won't terminate, it won't print out if you use exit. On the other hand, break will go out of the while loop and execute whatever is there outside the while loop. Is the difference clear?
Yes, ma'am. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So as long as the program is short and there is nothing else to be done outside the while loop, they will have the same behavior. But otherwise, they will have different behaviors. Okay. Any other questions about this? Okay, so this exit is simply terminating. So sorry, I should repeat the question. What is the difference between exit and return? So we have not talked about functions yet, but when you use this return, it is going to return from the current function, right? So exit, on the other hand, is going to terminate the whole program, right? So return is going to return from the current function and go to the function which is calling it. At the moment, we have only one function, which is the main. But if you had some function in which you had written return, then it will return to the function that is calling that function and then execute the remaining part of the statements in that caller. But exit is going to exit out of the program completely. So this is the difference. So Darshan had asked this question. Is it clear, Darshan? Okay. Anything else? Okay. So what we are going to do in the remaining part that we have is we will go to repl.it. We are going to take up a different task. So we are going to take a task of finding the min of several integers. So what we will do is initially we will have a fixed number of integers, which is, let's say, some input k. So the user tells you how many integers he or she is going to give you, and you are going to find the min of those k integers. That is your first task. The second is the user doesn't a priori specify the number of inputs, but is going, so we'll assume that all the inputs for the moment are positive integers, and the user is going to give a negative integer, or let's even say that the user is going to give a -1 to terminate the set of integers that he or she is giving, and then at the end you have to print out the minimum of the set of positive integers that were input, right? So -1 is not in your set of integers, it's just a terminator. So are the two different things clear? Of course, we have a set of integers, we want to find the minimum of that. But in the first case, we are going to have a fixed set of integers, which is given by the user as an input. And in the second case, we are going to have an arbitrary set of integers, and we are going to terminate it with a -1. Right? So you people are going to help me write this program. I'm going to go to repl.it and type this program. So Kaushal, please tell me if you see the change in the screen. I'm going to stop sharing this and go to the screen. Yeah, before I change the view, are there any questions on this? Okay, good. So I'll just stop sharing this. Yeah, so Kaushal, can you tell me whether you are seeing the browser now? And I will just go and
Yes, ma'am.
okay, sure. Okay, good. So let's write a program which is okay. So this is my find min program. So so I'll just say what the behavior is. Okay, so it takes input n initially, and then which is an integer, then accepts n integers as inputs and outputs the min of these integers. So this is our goal, right? So yeah, are there volunteers, or are there some people who want to tell me how to write the program? I know all of you know how to write this program, so I'll just write down variables int n, and I'll also have int some current integer in which I am going to take the current int. I'll also have an int min. Yeah, so we will use, instead of using any other loop construct, we will only use this loop construct that we have studied. I also want to bring out, so one of the things that was mentioned in the feedback was that please have things that are taught in the class, only those things in the lab. So except for the first lab that we had something which was not taught, but that was of course to check the understanding of the class or the exposure of the class to different concepts. That was also restricted to Q3 because Q1 and Q2 could be done without loops and anything. So that was the only place where we had something which was outside the class, but question 3 was given just for our understanding. But in all the labs, whatever has been taught, only that is expected. So you will not be required to go outside the things that you have been taught in the class. Yeah. Okay. So again, use the constructs that we have seen right now. So can somebody tell me can somebody help me write the program?
So, ma'am, this is Srilakshmi.
Yes.
Yes, we have to introduce another variables just to keep track of how many integers we have taken in.
Okay, fine. So
Have an int
what?
So A, whatever it is.
What did you say? A. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what should I be initializing things to? I mean,
Ma'am?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I just have a small doubt, ma'am. We need to rearrange n numbers, no, ma'am. I mean, like we should find a minimum of n numbers, right? In this.
Yes, so we don't want to rearrange. Okay, so so let's say we are given, okay, let me just give an input. Yeah.
No,
Okay,
ma'am.
complete your question, Kannikeshwar.
Yeah. If we are asked to find the minimum of n integers, ma'am. For that, we need n variables also, ma'am. So without n,
Yes.
how can
Okay, great. So these are good questions. Do we need n variables? So nobody has asked you to store these variables. So let's just take an input. Whatever I write in the comments is for our understanding. So let's say the user says I'm going to give you 5 integers, right? So the 5 integers are 10. Okay, so I'll just write colon so that 5 is not one of the integers. The integers are 10, 102, 17. 7. I'm just taking positive integers. In this problem, there is no need of a promise of positive. Okay, so I'll also take possibly Okay, so let's just take 55. Okay, so these are the 5 integers that are given to us. What is the expected output? I mean, you see that, right? You can manually compute. You know that the expected output is 7 because you want to compute the current, you want to compute the min of these integers. Okay, so the question is, do you need to store these 5 integers?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So observe that we have not asked you to sort these integers or rearrange them in this order, that is 7, 10, 17, 55, 102, which will require you to store these integers. What we are asking is that we are given n integers, that is 5 integers. You need to find out the min of that, and you just need to output the minimum of it, not all the integers. I mean, you don't need to store these integers for that. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Okay, so yeah, so this is just a sample input. Okay, so one of you was helping me. So there is this integer I, which is sorry, A, which is telling us how many integers have been considered. Okay, so please tell me. So I'll at least write a scanf for taking in n, right? Because that is required. So scanf %d and n. Okay, so this is done. We know what is n. Okay.
Now we have to initialize A to 0. It can also be 1, but yeah, let's initialize it to 0.
Okay, A is equal to 0.
And then because we don't know what the minimum value of the integers can be, so we'll take the first integer and we'll automatically assign it as minimum value and compare the rest of the integers to that integer.
Okay, so this is in the same spirit that we had done in the previous thing, where we had 3 integers and we wanted to find the minimum of the 3 integers. So we said that we'll assign the first integer as the minimum and then carry on, right? So what she's saying is we will take in the first integer. So in fact, I can also reuse this variable because min has to be initialized by that. So I can say scanf and %d min, right? So this is the first integer that you have taken, and you have also initialized, I mean, you have used min to take it. In fact, if you don't like it, you can say that current integer is something that is going to be taken in, and min is equal to current integer, because this is what is exactly what you are thinking, that is taking the first integer and then initialize min to be the first integer. That is what this is doing. Okay, so now, yeah, so I hope everybody sees this whole setup. Now I want somebody else other than Sri Lakshmi to complete this program. Can somebody else help us?
Ma'am, we can use
Yes.
we can use a while loop. In that while
Okay.
loop, what we can do is like in the beginning we can check for the current int not equal to -1, and in the
Okay, so yeah, Ashwin.
okay, this okay, yeah, okay. Then we can here we
So-
can print a less than n, because a is equal to 0. Here we can print a check while a less than n, and then inside we can what we can do is we can do an if condition.
It must be n-1, right? Because
N minus
already we
one.
took one there.
Okay. Yeah, so we will come to it. Let him finish. Let him finish, Emil. Yeah, Ashwin. Yeah,
We
you
can
are saying
now we can enter the next, like first we should enter the next string. Let them enter the
so
next string.
scanf. Yeah, so scanf %d current int. Yeah. Okay, and then you are saying that you are
If
going to plot the
current int is less than min, then we can put min equal to current int.
Ma'am, and is missing in a scanf. and simple.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. Thank you for pointing it out and thank you for being alert.
Scanner should be there.
Yeah, great. Okay, so and then of course there should be a printf min is equal to %d/n cur min, right? So this is how the program looks like. So yeah, so let's just read through the program, make sure that we understand it.
Need to increment in.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So good. Thank you, Aishwarya, for pointing out. So what we have forgotten here, which is something that is commonly done, is that we forget to change the test variable or change the expression. So okay, just for readability, I'm going to write this is as a in the braces. So yeah. So now currently a is less than n. It is, if you don't change a, then you are going to have a always less than n, because assuming that the user says that it is going to give you 10 integers, a is initialized to 0 and it has not changed. So what we should do is increment a here, which can be done by a++ or a is equal to a+1. So I'm just going to use this shorthand and say a++. Right, so this is something which looks like a correct program. There is a subtle small thing which is a mistake here. So we have a equal to 0, and if we have 10 integers, then this is going to a less than 10, which is correct. But we have taken one integer which is already taken outside the loop. So inside the loop, we need to take only n-1 integers, right? So and a has started at 0, so we will say a is less than n-1. So is that does that make sense to everybody?
Ma'am, no, it should be less than n only, ma'am. Why should it be n-1?
Yes, ma'am. The n-1 means it won't take the n-1 case.
Yeah, I mean, it should be n, ma'am, because it's starting from 0 now, ma'am.
Less than or equal to.
Okay, so let's see what others have to say.
No, it's starting from 0, right? So the 0 will be first case, and then you only need n cases. So
Already took one.
variable should only
So
go to
one by
n
one. Sorry, one by one. So currently, I think ML is speaking. So ML, you have to first say whether you are supporting n less than n-1 or less than n.
n-1, because for the first, actually, if we had taken the first value inside the loop, then a should have been gone from 0 to n-1. I mean, only that much steps we need. But we took the first one outside, so we need only n-1 numbers next. So the a should go only from 0 to n-2.
A should go from 0 to n-1, or the condition is a less than n-1. Yeah, so that is the thing.
A less than n-1.
Okay. Yeah, so ML is supporting a less than n-1. Is there anybody else who is not supporting this?
Ma'am, a should be less than n, ma'am.
Okay, so let's take a small example. Okay, so there is one suggestion that a should be less than n, right? So let's write a less than n. Let's take fixed values.
If we initialize a is equals to 1, then a is less than n. We are initializing it at 0.
Okay, so let's not change everything, right? So let's fix a is equal to 0 because we have initialized it. I mean, we can change that, but
so it should be a less than n-1.
Right. Yeah. So I just want to clarify that if you have, I mean, you will have these doubts of the end condition. So let's make sure that everybody gets it. So let's say we write a is equal to a is less than n. So let's take concrete values for this before even you run the program. This is something that you should do it for your programs that you are given. So we are almost on the dot. We have 3 or 4 minutes. I'll just quickly wind this up. So let's say n is equal to 2. That is, the user is going to give us 2 integers, right? So we have initialized a is equal to 0, which is our counter to count. So we are going to count the first integer when we are taking it, a is equal to 0. Okay, so let's see what happens and where is a incremented. That is also very important. So a is equal to 0. We are taking in the first integer, and a remains 0. So we have not incremented a. So is that what you wanted? The people who, we wrote this program, is that what we wanted? That is also something that we should check. So suppose user wants to give you one integer. What do you want to happen? What do you want it to go inside this program? So hello, no, right? So what we want is, as soon as we have taken one integer, we should also increment a, right? So this is something that we will keep as an invariant. So in fact, I agree with people who are saying that a is equal to 1 would be a right initialization, because we are taking the first integer, whatever is the value of the a, that is the ith integer that we are taking. But let's fix this initialization. I'm not going to change this. So a becomes a plus plus, so a becomes 1 here. Now let's say if the user was giving one integer, there is nothing to do and the program correctly does here. Okay, so wait, a is equal to 1. So in this case, a will become 1. 1 less than 1 is, so what will happen for 1 less than 1?
Ma'am, it should be n plus 1 over there.
N
if we
plus?
take a as 1. The condition, it should be a less than n plus 1, right? If we increment a at the beginning before the while loop.
Okay, but okay, so let's just, so why am I incrementing? That is clear, right? Because we have taken one integer, so we should tell a that we have taken one integer. Is that right? So
Okay, understood.
Yes. Okay, so the value of a is 1, and while a less than n, so if this is written, right, the way this is written, 1 is less than 1 is not true. Right, so therefore 1 is equal to 1, so it won't go here. So that is okay if it is one integer. If it is two integers, then it will go inside the loop. It will take one integer and a will become 2, in which case this loop will again, when it tests for 2 less than 2, it will not go inside that, and the program will terminate. Program will behave correctly. Now, what I want you to do is, all of you who are seeing this program, not all of you are participating in the discussion, but you are of course reading this program. I want you to write this program. I want you to stare at this program, check that this is indeed, check whether this is correct. We'll come back to it tomorrow, not tomorrow, but in the class on Thursday. We'll again look at this and we will check, we'll see whether this program behaves the way we want. Are there end conditions that are that we have missed out, right? So what the goal is, this, the input, the user gives us n, the value of n, we want to accept n integers, print the min of it. You can initialize a to anything else, but we have initialized it to 0. So with this initialization, you should write the correct conditions for the termination of the loop. So this is something that is a small exercise for you. Do not change the a equal to 0 initialization. You can change it for yourself, but at the moment, this is the exercise. Okay, so this is what I wanted to say. We'll come to this program again when we look at the lab, when we look at the class on Thursday, and continue our discussion on while loops. Yeah. Any questions or comments? So I'm going to stop the recording.